Today we're going to talk about YouTube, but before we talk about YouTube, we want to talk a little bit about how you sell, because fundamentally with all social media, whether it's YouTube or Facebook or Twitter, if you haven't thought about how you're going to use it, to some degree, don't bother to do it. So we're going to talk about the selling process to start out with. What are the steps in the selling process? Because every time you meet with a prospect, you should be thinking about where is that prospect in the selling process. We'll talk about why to use video, and then we'll do some tips to integrate YouTube into your selling process. We'll show you some examples of video, etc. So what I want you guys to think about first of all is think about the last sale you closed in your business, okay? How many sales calls did it take you to make to close that sale? What did a sales call cost? And a lot of people have never even thought about what does a sales call cost. But one of the things you want to do to justify any of your social media work or doing a YouTube video is thinking about how can this substitute for a sales call? Because that helps justify the cost of you creating that content. And then what did it take to close a sale? So who wants to give me an example of the last sales they closed? Anybody want to? Go ahead, tell me.
Well, I'm a licensed clinical massage therapist, and I was actually walking down the street with my face cradle of the massage table.
Okay, so you were a licensed massage person. You were walking down the street with
the face cradle.
With your cradle of massage stuff.
Which is not a normal thing for me. It just was I was walking home close by the facility I provide my professional services. It's close by my home. And a lady stopped me and said, "Are you a massage therapist? I need you. I have a bad back." And she was on my table a week later.
Okay.
That was one way.
So when we talk about the selling process, so what's your name?
I'm Penny.
Penny. So Penny was walking down the street carrying her massage tools, and somebody stopped her and said, "Are you a massage therapist?" And a week later, she was working with you. Okay. So when we look at the selling process, we look at 4 steps to the selling process. And, people will show these slides. You'll see 4 steps, you'll see 6 steps, you'll see 10 steps, but everybody has a variation on a theme here. So when we look at awareness, person found out about Penny just because she was visible as a massage person. Now in the education process, we don't know. Do you have a website?
I do.
Okay, when you talked to her, you gave her your website?
I gave her my business card because I never go anywhere without it.
Okay.
And I also gave her a Vistaprint 20% off first time session.
Okay, so Penny gave her a business card and Penny gave her a 20% off coupon. So let's think about the business card, probably linked to a website. That was part of the education process. Okay? So, the person met Penny, said, "Aha, I'm now aware that you exist." Okay? The business card, the website, was an education. Now, the 20% off coupon is intriguing, and it's wonderful that you had that, Penny. The 20% coupon is consideration. It's overcoming an objection. So a lot of times you want to give an incentive for somebody to buy. So coupons are an incentive for somebody to buy. Something like a money-back guarantee is an incentive for somebody to buy, okay? And then the person decided to buy. So when you're meeting with somebody, regardless of whether you're using social media or just meeting with them separately, think about where they are in the process. Now, did this person call you before they came in?
Yes, twice actually.
Okay, so they called you twice. All right, so, you had to educate them and work with them.
Actually, my phone sadly was on airplane mode and I didn't realize it. So for 2 days I didn't even know she left a message.
Okay, so if you think about it, in the selling process, you have awareness, education, people are going to call you up, okay? And then overcoming objection, consideration, okay? And then decision person. So when you talk to this person on the phone, how long did you talk to them for?
Just long enough to, when I finally called her and she accepted my apology and understood, about 5-10 minutes.
Okay, so Penny talked to her for 5 or 10 minutes. Now, let's say that your massage is $100 an hour, okay? Okay, so $100 an hour, her 10 minutes actually cost her roughly $10 to $15. So she probably spent, that much time working with a person to close the sale. So kind of an example of the process. Now, one of the things that we like to have people think about relative to video is if there was a video and the video helped answer some of the questions, maybe it would have turned into one phone call instead of 2 phone calls. If it would have been 1 phone call, then you would have saved $15 to $20. There's just an example of how I want you guys to think about creating content and using content. How many of you meet a prospect for the first time in a coffee shop? You guys ever done that? Okay, you've done that? Okay. Now, what's your number one concern? You're sitting in a coffee shop. You've never met that person before. What's your number one concern?
To work in while I'm making that conversation to get their email.
Okay, so her number one concern when she's meeting somebody in a coffee shop that she's never met before is to get their email. I would say your number one concern, you're sitting there in the coffee shop and they've never met you, is do they know who you are?
Oh, when I say hello, my name is Sharon Cruz, I'm a scarf designer, and then they go...
Right, but they've never met you before, okay? And you're sitting in the coffee shop, you're sitting there saying, okay, are you Bob? Or are you Bob? Or are you Bob? Okay? Right? Okay? So, I'm being a little bit cute here, but think about the fact if you had a video and you could send them a video link that told a little bit of your story ahead of time, at least they would know who you are.
Right, that's what I do. I get their email, but before I get my email, I ask them, can I have your email so I can send you
okay.
information such as...
Okay, so what you're doing is you're actually... first, they already know about you, okay? So you're already at the awareness stage with them, because if you didn't have their email, they wouldn't know about you, right? Okay?
So I'm at the introduction stage.
Right. So you're in the education phase where you send them information, right? And this is just as you're creating internet content and you're using internet content, or even as you're just working with a prospect, you might want to think about when you're meeting with this person, where are you in the selling process? Because the first thing you don't want to do is give somebody a 20% off coupon, because that makes you look like I'm desperate. Here's my coupon. Okay? But you got to think about where in the selling process do you want to use this. Okay. Right, because the bottom line here, whether it's in person on the internet, your prospect decides how they want to reach out to you. Back in the olden days, if you wanted to meet with somebody, you had to wait for the salesman to show up, and the salesman told you what they wanted to tell you. In today's world is, I as a prospect decide how I want to interact with you. Are we doing okay? Okay. All right, so your goal here is to make the internet your selling partner. All right. Go ahead.
Why do you think that made this seem desperate? I would think that it was like, okay, I have a business. This is just something so that I can give you a try of my business and then sell it.
Okay. So it's a timing point of view. So the question is, why would handing out a coupon seem desperate? Okay, I think it's where you do it in the selling process. I think if I was standing out on the street handing out 20% off coupons, I would suggest to you that's too early in the process. Okay? I mean, it could be this person would have said, Penny, I really need you. I need you now. I'll pay whatever it takes. And then maybe you wouldn't have given her the 20% off coupon. But
She would want her to come back again, so here's the 20%.
well, maybe so, but maybe yes, maybe no. Okay.
Confusing is they say you gotta give away at the beginning of starting your business. You gotta give a little to get.
Right, but it becomes a timing issue, and you need to think about, you know, what you need to do here. So it's a matter of interpretation. All of this is where you want to go. All I'm saying is that when you're dealing with a prospect or even dealing with a customer, think about where you are in the selling process, because that controls what kind of content you want to give people. If you have a real technical selling situation, at the beginning you want to be relatively simple, and you want to hold your detailed technical information until maybe you've qualified the person and say they understand what the heck I'm saying. Okay, you have a question?
I was going to say my comment related to what we were just talking about. I would say like give the 20% discount later, because if it's the first time with the discount, then later on you have to raise your price. Because we
No,
all,
my price is my price. That's a one-time
But
first
that's what I'm
session
saying.
deal only, and that's on the top.
but if it's the first time, then they know the next time you're going to charge them normal.
Yes.
And they're going to want like,
Well, they're gonna either love the work and wanna come back, or they're not, and they're not gonna come back
Okay,
anyway.
so discounts are a way to incentivize to get somebody to buy. Now, what Penny's saying is she does such a fabulous job that after the first time, people will pay whatever she charges, right?
Yes.
Okay,
Specialized services.
go ahead.
Wouldn't you want to attract people, say like, you're giving out flyers, isn't that an incentive to put yourself out in the general public so people are more aware of your business, and then you can get more business?
Right. So the question, and if you have a mentor, or if you want to talk to somebody, is, and I had do other workshops relative to this, because I'm going to have to start getting into some YouTube stuff. But I mean, this is a great discussion. Think about in your business, what are you doing to build awareness? What are you doing to educate people? What are you doing to close the sale? And then how do you close the sale? And, you know, what different tools do you have? So if you have a brochure that tells people about your business, maybe you don't want to put on that brochure your coupon. Maybe you want to save that for later on. Okay? So everybody's business is different, and in a lot of ways, sometimes every prospect you're dealing with is different. So I'm not saying to do the same thing every time. What I'm saying is to think about the tools you have, because this workshop in the end is all about tools. So to think about the tools that you have and use them at the appropriate time. Okay, one more. You have a comment?
Well, the thing that I was thinking about with Penny's situation, what she did, was you know how you're selling a machine, a workout machine, and you're sure of your work being that good that you say, well, you know what, try it out, because I know that you're not going to return it. It's shipping and handling is free.
Right.
But I know you're not going to want to turn it back in because it's going to be that great, because I have stats showing of other people of how great they enjoy it, and I'm sure that you're going to enjoy it just as well. So.
Okay. I mean, and there's all different philosophies for pricing. I mean, you can go to workshops, and workshops will just be, you know, all kinds of pricing strategies. When I was in the cell phone business, I was selling to the telephone companies. Whether you were a big telephone company or a small telephone company, you felt like you were all equal. So what we learned is we would give somebody a quantity discount schedule, and they would say, okay, we'll buy, give us your lowest price. And we said, okay, well, we're going to only show people a price, and we'll show the big guys one price, and we'll show the smaller guys another price. Until we realized that the first thing the small guys did was call up the big guys and say, what were you paying? So, you know, everybody comes up with a different model. One more question, and then we're going to get to the...
All right, one more question to get to the YouTube.
Okay.
Now, I do want to, all right, good strategy, Penny, because small business is already hard, you know, so you have to pretty much give in order to receive. But it's all about how you give, you know. You don't want to give, you go into business with profits, right? Not just giving away all your business. So a nice coupon, maybe you buy one, get one free. You know, spend some money first, then
So all of these are tools, 20% off coupons, buy one, get one free. All of these are ways to help close the sale. So think about, how are you building awareness? What tools? I do other workshops, and when I do consulting for people, one of the first things we do is say, let's not even look at the internet. Let's look at how you do things in person. Because most of you guys are still doing most of your selling in person. Because there's only two reasons why people buy from you. The first reason is you can solve their problem. You have the expertise they're looking for. The second reason is they like you. Okay? So all of you are experienced doing this kind of selling in person. So the first thing I say to people is, take a sheet of paper, put awareness, education, consideration, closing the sale down. What do you do in person? And then take another column and say, how do I handle this on the internet? Okay, we're going to talk now a little about the internet because this is why you guys came. So I picked up this chart and I thought it was a pretty good one, and it's a nice segue into here is, okay, once you know your personal selling strategy, what's your digital strategy? How can you engage your potential and existing customers? Wow, video engages like no other. How do I use it? How do I blend it and measure it? And how do I implement and maintain governments to keep an eye on what's going on? And how do I scale this? There are still copies left if anybody needs a copy of the presentation. Can we get a, can you take one over to her too? Because actually I write this presentation under the idea that you guys can take this back and read some of this. Okay, so 4 reasons to think about using video. First, creating original content improves your SEO. Okay, Google and other search engines like it. The other thing is that if a video shows up on a list of searches, you're more likely to go down even if it's in, slot 5, 7, 10 on the page, and click on that one because a nice little picture comes with it. Okay. Video content is a powerful branding tool as far as people getting to know you and understand what you do. And one of the things Penny learned is that in person, if somebody actually saw her with her tools, it gained credibility. Well, if there was a video demonstrating some of the things you do or customer testimonials, those kinds of things help. Okay, video has the potential to share your message. It's really shareable. So people are more likely to actually send along a video on a link than they are otherwise. And video plays better on mobile devices. And it's real interesting, because this is one of the things we learned, is that people are unlikely many times to watch a video while they're sitting at their desk. But think of all those people on the train who have their earpieces. So when the link comes in the video, well, I'll go ahead and watch this one. And more of the devices, whether it's tablets or smartphones, are being optimized for video. And one of the reasons for using YouTube is that the reach of YouTube when it comes to mobile devices is really nice. Almost all of the devices come with the YouTube already loaded on it, and if you do a link through to YouTube, it's really easy for people to go ahead and pick it up and watch it. So whether it's a smartphone or a tablet, you do see people watching video more and more, and it's actually made video more accessible because people will watch it. Okay, this is like big agencies, but they did a survey relative to what tools big agencies use. And you see that number 1 was Facebook. And if you aren't using Facebook, you should think about it just because there are 8 billion people on Facebook. I can do another workshop relative to that. But number 2 is really YouTube. So, as far as using a platform for their clients, bigger agencies are using YouTube. The other interesting thing is that online video is the fastest growing area of how people are spending their time online. So if you look at it in 2010, the average person spent 10 minutes per day with online video, and now in 2013, the average person spent 23 minutes. So people are spending almost as much time watching video online as they are reading their email. So, you know, one of the reasons to go ahead and be there. There's I think one more copy of the presentation up here if you want it. Video is effective when asked the question, how well does video perform compared to other types of content in producing desired results or conversions? And they asked people who are marketers. Basically, 70% of them said it's either somewhat better or much better. And the last little commercial piece on why to use video from a quantitative point of view is when they asked marketers where you're going to spend more money. Okay, basically marketers said they were going to shift more of their money to video than any other place. Okay, when shopping, online shoppers said how helpful was an online video. People rated it highly. Okay, and then the numbers, and I had showed you some numbers already, but more than half of all online traffic is video, and this is old data, 48 hours of video are uploaded every minute. YouTube generates billions of views. YouTube is the second most popular search engine in the world, okay, outside of regular Google search, okay. People are twice as likely to share video. A video is 53 times more likely to appear on page 1 of a search than text. Including video and emails increases your open rate. And these last two came off of a Forbes article. 59% of all senior executives prefer watching video instead of reading text if both are available. And 80% of executives are watching more video online. So, something for you guys to think about. Online video on brand and purchase decision, 96% of respondents find video helpful. Okay, 83% prefer videos of 5 minutes or less. And we'll talk a little bit about creating some content there. Okay, you can see here video campaign. People click through more on their smartphones and tablets than they do on their laptops. Okay. So have I convinced you guys to think about using video?
Yes, yes.
Okay. All right, so the next part you have to me is, okay, Mark, you've convinced me to use video. How do I make it? Okay, isn't video expensive?
No.
Well, it can be. So I'll propose to you there's 3 ways you can create video. Okay? The first one, the cheapest, is use third-party content. Don't even produce it yourself. Use what somebody else uses. We'll see how the internet is working here. All right, so I did this website for this science park, okay? And one of the things that we wanted to explain to people is why should you do business in Chicago? Okay, now I could go out and spend a lot of money producing a video telling people on why to do business in Chicago, or I could go to World Business Chicago.
When the rest of the world looks to Chicago, they have one question. What's next? Because throughout our history, we've defined ourselves as a hothouse of creativity and innovation.
Let's see if we can get...
Rebuilding after the Great Fire was the start. From there, we reversed the flow of a river and built the world's first skyscraper. For centuries, in fact, architects such as Frank Lloyd Wright, Mies van der Rohe, and Frank Gehry have flocked here to create an unrivaled urban landscape. They, like so many, in so many fields, realize that Chicago views the status quo as a natural enemy. While every major city...
So clearly the cheapest way to do it is find somebody else's stuff that works. Okay, if you're a real estate person and somebody said, why should I be in Chicago? You know, you can go out and say, okay, I'm going to go take the architecture and I'm going to go record my own video, and that could be helpful. But, you know, on the other hand, the lowest cost way is to use somebody else's. Okay?
If it's public, you can just use it and leave it.
What?
If it's public, if it's somebody else made it, you could just use it.
Well, you know, from a legal point of view, if it's out there and available, it's almost like a hyperlink, where if you were doing an email and you said you want to learn more about doing business in Chicago, check out World Business Chicago. Well, I mean, linking to a video is about the same. Now, I have a rule of thumb on third-party content. If it's available, I'll put it up. But if somebody says, you know, gosh, I don't want it up there, then I'll take it down. Okay? Now, there are issues, especially on certain types of content where they're expecting you to pay for things. Sometimes if you've ever used iStock, okay, iStock will have little video clips and essentially get you to buy them. They'll want you to buy them. Or I was working with a veterinarian, and the veterinarian's assistant put up a picture on Facebook, and 2 days later she got a call from Getty Images saying, you like the picture? And she said, yeah. They said, fine, it's $800. She said, oops, I think I'll take it down. But, you know, for the most part, I mean, in this kind of environment, I mean, World Business Chicago wants me to do that, okay? So the only risk on doing that is if you do go to somebody else's YouTube channel, and we'll get into talking about using channels, you can get kind of waylaid in their environment and off of your web environment, okay? How many of you distribute somebody else's product or partner with somebody else's product? Okay, so if you do that, you know, they may create content that makes sense for you to use. So, like, why not use it? And, you know, if you're not sure how to use embed codes, essentially you can talk to your web developer, and your web developer can basically create a model where, you know, just paste in the URL and it shows up. So on this website here, what essentially we have done is we've created a frame for the video. So all I have to do is paste in the URL and it shows up on that page. So that's an example of using third-party content, and essentially, you know, it doesn't cost you anything to use third-party content. And, you know, that works especially well like in the education phase. You want to learn about Chicago? Check it out. Go ahead.
No, you said it won't cost you anything, but the thought came in mind, it might cost you a lawyer, though.
Well, it might, but I would propose to you first, pick up content where whoever's content you're picking up works for you. Okay, so if you're selling somebody's product and they're creating content, it's highly unlikely they're going to sue you for using their content because they want you to use it. Okay, to me, World Business Chicago, I probably sent them a note before I picked it up saying, you know, I'm going to use some of your content. Okay, because I actually even, well, let's go back to a little bit here, as long as we're talking about third-party content. Okay, so this picture here is from World Business Chicago.
The mission of the Illinois Science and Technology.
So this was kind of fun use of video.
Create within the state of Illinois the most vital cluster of companies and technologies for commercialization in Illinois. This means companies coming from around the globe, as well as our research-based universities. Come visit us and experience the Illinois Science and Technology Park.
So, you know, that opening picture, you know, I got a bunch, I worked with them while I was designing the website. And so I said, I'm going to use some of your content. And they said, fine. And in my About the Website thing, I actually give them a reference. Thank you, World Business Chicago, for letting me use your images. Sometimes if you use somebody's stuff, they'll say they would like a credit. But like, what the heck? I mean, like I said, it doesn't cost you very much. And I would propose to you, I mean, even in the situation with Getty Images, I mean, Getty didn't sue the veterinarian. Getty just said, either pay or take it down. I mean, so, you know, the whole adventure of lawyers is a whole nother discussion. All right, you can create the content yourself using a smartphone or a simple video. So let me show you one of these that I did that was kind of fun. This is from my YouTube channel, so we'll see how it loads here. YouTube is having its issues. So this is the challenge when you do access YouTube. Now, some of the things I'll do is I'll actually take these and I'll load them onto my smartphone, or I'll load them onto my computer, and I don't have
Michelle
to.
Obama. Michelle Obama and the other first ladies from the globe I'm going to invite up here to our farm to actually see what it is to grow, pick, and eat at the source. And as you can see, it means a lot to me because I too have children, and I want them to grow up knowing the right way to eat. So I'm going to offer to Michelle and anyone that she wants to come out here with. There's a place to land a helicopter too, if you need to. But I'd like to have her come out here. I want to be able to have her pick from the ground, and we'll actually do a farm-to-table experience right here at the source.
Okay, so kind of cute there. Well, the nice thing about content that you do yourself is it can be really personal.
Very successful in reducing their energy consumption and billions of dollars worth of savings. Even
All right,
Walmart.
Bruce. Thank you. Enough of Bruce. So that's off of my new YouTube channel in my business, and you can check that out. So the advantages here is it can be really personal. It can be really good. Now, a little bit of a confession. That was the third take. So it looked like really spontaneous, right? Okay, Mark just kind of set up the camera. Okay, it was the third take of a series of about 7 questions that I asked him. Okay, so it came together. The last thing we did, which was a little trick, and you can do it, is we actually reran this video through an audio processor, and we boosted up the audio a little bit. Okay, but it was a do-it-yourself piece. Go ahead.
One of the comments I wanted to make about your stating the challenge, that's one of the beauties of YouTube, in that you put the auto setting and it'll auto-negotiate the resolution.
Right, right. So it does help, and you do need to kind of know your way around the tools. What he's saying is, if you know how YouTube works and you have certain issues relative to downloads and using things, you can set it up that way. But so if you're doing it yourself, one, understand that, you know, work with your subject and rehearse it, know what you're doing. If you don't get what you want the first time. The other thing to do is think about how you're going to use it. I had a client who was a moving company, and they wanted to show a bed bug sniffing dog. And they said, why don't we produce a whole big video around the bed bug sniffing dog? And I said, you know what? Rather than doing that, go take your iPhone, go take 20 seconds of the dog sniffing, and go post it up. You can just tell people, here's Buster, or whatever the dog's name was, sniffing. And it shows, hey, we actually have that. So the thing is, if you're going to produce it yourself, produce it in a way that is consistent with what you're capable of doing. Okay? If you wanted to showcase some kind of work you are doing from a massage point of view, you could do something fancy, or you could just say, you know, here's 20 seconds of working on somebody's whatever. Okay? And, you know, it can be done easily. the caution that I had, and I talked about this earlier, is the number one problem with internet video is bad audio. So if you can't give really good audio, because a lot of times you're playing on a crummy speaker here or a crummy speaker here, maybe just don't do any audio. You know, there's little simple editing tools, actually even within YouTube, and I'll be with you in a minute, where you can put a title up or a text overlay or something like that. Now be careful in annotation in YouTube, because while it'll show on a computer, a lot of times it won't show on tablets or on mobile devices if you use their internal annotation. But once again, think about how you're going to use it. If you're going to use it in the education phase, and they already kind of know who you are, you want to keep it simple, and you want to produce it yourself, you like, go for it. You have a question, comment? Go ahead.
When you just mentioned that it could be a little bit of a problem for getting good audio.
Go ahead.
I always thought the solution for that you should always find an audio editing software that made a better filter along with microphone.
Right. So what he's saying is that there is relatively low-cost auto editing or use an external microphone, and I'm saying fine. If you can do that, that's great. Like I said, the one we did with James, the Michelle Obama one, we shot it and then we ran it through and we boosted the audio. Okay, so you can do that, but what I'm saying is you can also just not do any audio. If you don't do any audio, or you're just going to put a little music underneath, just let your viewer know. Here's an example of this, here's an example of that. Maybe put up a little card and go do it. All I'm saying here is that you can do it yourself. The two cautions I have if you do it yourself is rehearse it. Even the most spontaneous video is better if it's rehearsed. I mean, the first couple of takes we did with James, his daughter didn't wander into the frame. But when she wandered into the frame, that really, wow. I mean, that was kind of cool. Okay? And the other thing, since he had rehearsed it, when she wandered into the frame, it didn't distract him. So go ahead and do that. And, you know, the last thing you can do is, you know, you can hire a professional to do it. Here's one that I did very simply with Mark of Multistack.
How does your modular chiller compare to a Trane or a Carrier centrifugal chiller?
The conventional manufacturers, Trane, Carrier, York, McQuay, will make one large machine, typically one compressor, one set of components. It's the easiest way to manufacture a chiller. It's the lowest first cost way to manufacture a chiller. It just isn't as flexible as modular is. And so what we found, to be able to get a smaller component through a doorway up and down an elevator in an existing building, or to get multiple levels of redundancy in a single machine where you have more than one compressor, you have 4, 5, 6, 8, 10, gives you tremendous redundancy. Doesn't put all your eggs in one basket, right? And we also find that when you do that, you get a machine that's easier to maintain, it's quieter, and we've just found a tremendous market for modular machines for those owners that don't care about only first cost.
So the advantage of hiring a professional to do it is you're living in the world where, you know, first impressions are lasting. Mark has a relatively technical product here that he talks about well. You know, now the product Mark sells is like $250,000. So the knowing him and trusting him becomes pretty important. But, you know, you can make those trade-offs. Also, you get the question when it comes to anything you're doing relative to the internet, it's the old make or buy question. Every hour you spend creating content is an hour you're not billing as a massage therapist. So you really get into that situation of, you know, should you be spending your time making videos and processing audio, or should you spend your time doing your business? So those are your really three choices when you're creating content. Go ahead.
My name is Nicole Claude. I speak 4 languages, so my dilemma is languages.
Okay.
So I created some YouTube and English and Creole, because I'm reaching out to the Haitian and
Okay.
Latin community. And I have gained close to 500 views.
Mm-hmm.
My question is, how often should I reintroduce them? Because I created it like early January and people were watching. So it's like, how often do I introduce them and who am I targeting? What do I say?
Okay, so what's your name?
Nicole Claude.
Nicole. So Nicole has a video up there. She has a business where she has 4 different languages. The question is, you know, how many languages and how often do I update it? Okay. You know, from the point of view of how many languages is, in the end, if you remember early in the slide, your viewer decides on what they want. Okay, so if you want to attract viewers in all 4 languages, you should have content in all 4 languages, because I don't want to work that hard of it as a viewer. Now, clearly, if you put something up on YouTube, YouTube does have some translation. I would say the translation is about 80% accurate. It works okay for people who speak English as a second language, if you're doing it in English. So, because you know, and you can't suggest to your people, you know, you can use the captioning tool that's in YouTube. Have you seen that?
The translator?
The translator?
I have seen it on Facebook, but...
Okay, well, it's in YouTube. I would spend some time on it, but I'm trying to, afterwards, if you want me to show it to you, I'll show it to you. Go ahead.
One thing I've noticed in a couple of videos, sometimes they mention that in the video, if you like this thing over this one, click on this box within the video and it will take you to another video.
Right. Okay, so part of that is that, you know, within a video you can say click on this spot. We'll talk about creating channels in a little bit. The nature of creating a channel is that you want, after they watch their one video, to watch another one. The average YouTube viewer watches about 2.5 videos per setting. So, you know, whether it's in the video or after the video, you want to create content that way. I've got, you know, this is supposed to run from 9:30 to 11. You know, we've been doing a lot of questions here, so I'm going to take it, you know, to 11 for sure. And how many people have to get out of here at 11 o'clock? All right, then we better move along here. Okay, so when it comes to having people find your video online, this is a chart that said the most important thing is that you tag your videos with keywords and annotate it and organize your titles and descriptions with keywords. So when I build a channel, essentially, if I want videos associated together, I'll repeat a keyword in it. If you go to the Score Chicago channel, we've been running the elevator pitch contest. Every time I post up a contest, I put up the name of their company, their name, and elevator pitch contest. Because I know that what YouTube is going to do is they're going to suggest other videos within that context. So think about, if you're setting up videos in your business, put the name of your business in the title of every video. If it's featuring you, put your name in every video. You know, take advantage of using the descriptions, etc. I mean, it drives me nuts when I go online and I see the title of a movie being MOV 23. I mean, like, what the heck is MOV 23? Okay, so this is what I said, and you saw Mark's video, and there's a couple of interesting things in here, but I'll go into it. Here's the title. So we have the name of his company. We have his name, because we know people will search on the company. People will search on his name. Now, there's something a little bit insidious here. What we've done here is Multistack is a small company. Multistack competes with Train and York and McQuay. So what we've actually done in this title is we're attracting searchers who are not only searching for Multistack or Mark Platt, but we're attracting searchers who are searching for Train, York, McQuay, or Carrier. Now, my caution to you is the video has to deliver, okay? So, you know, you could remember, if you remember, I asked him, you know, how does yours compare? And he talks about how he compares. So the video delivers what it says, but when we're in here titling, we're titling and describing our video in such a way that we're going to pick up search traffic from our competition. And I think in a very reasonable way. I don't think there's anything that one could say is, gosh, this is underhanded. I mean, this is truthful. Because the number one thing you want to be when you're creating internet content, especially video, is authentic. I had a prospect say to me that, you know, I want a pretty girl to do my videos. And I said to him, well, when you go out and close a big sale, do you send a pretty girl? That being said, you know, what I try to do business, on one level, we're trying to be authentic. On the other level, we want to be perfect. Because you as the viewer would like it to be perfect. Unfortunately, we're all being judged against what we see on TV. Okay, so think about your title, think about your description, think about your keywords. Okay, organize your videos into playlists. So what you can do is, rather than creating one 10-minute video, create 7 1-minute videos, and you can put them in a playlist. And if you want somebody to do the whole story, you could do that. So if you had a number of different things you were working, you showcased in how you're doing massage, do 20 seconds on each one, build them into a playlist, and say, if you want to see them all, see this one. On the other hand, if I was searching for an individual, whatever, then I could find it. So one of the things that, whether you're using YouTube or Vimeo, look about building playlists. The other thing you can do in playlists is you can combine, you know, videos from different topics. We talked about the idea that YouTube does have tools that you can use. Here's an example. I did a sample elevator pitch for the contest. And what I said, if you're doing your elevator pitch, you should talk about, you know, the problem that your company solves, how you solve it, and what makes you different. So when I was talking about problem, rather than editing into the video, I, for this person, just went into YouTube and used the annotation. So understand the tools you can use. YouTube also has libraries. If you take something and have no sound on it, they have audio you can choose, you can put under it. They have things you can title with. My only comment is, if you do use YouTube tools, check it out and see not only how does it play on your computer, but how does it play on a tablet and a smartphone, because things do play differently. Okay, set up a channel. So when you set up your channel, once again, you want to use the various things that are in the channel. They give you the ability to do a picture. They have the ability to do a little logo. You can then set up different kinds of presentations in your channel. You might want to put the channel at the bottom of your you know, email signature. Check out these videos in my channel. Now, foundationally, what we're doing here is I predict that within 3 or 4 years, YouTube will control, or Google will control, probably 20 to 30% of all of the TVs in the country. What Google's going to come to you is say, how much, you know, you're paying for cable TV? Okay. They'll say, you know what? I'll give you cable TV for free or for a vastly reduced price. Okay. But in exchange, I get to see everything you watch on TV. Okay. Once they see everything you watch on TV and they know what you're doing, they're going to start recommending channels for you to watch. So if I've been watching a lot about pain or back problems, okay, it might come up and say, well, would you like to see some channels about getting help in your neighborhood? And if you had a channel, maybe your channel would come up. So that's what's going to happen. What's going to happen in 1 to 5 years is, when you turn on your TV, when you have your service from Google, Google's going to suggest channels for you to watch. So you should all, when you're doing videos, set up your own channel, start programming your own channel. Okay, if I'm a regular viewer of your channel, I'm going to expect you to put up more frequent content, right? So your question, how frequently you should do it? It's what I expect as a viewer. But, you know, work on your channel, set it up, understand what's involved in that, because you're laying the foundation that you can have your own personal relationship with those thousands of TVs that pretty soon will be controlled by Google. I mean, you guys also know Google is putting in high-speed fiber in various markets and paying to do that. So just visualize what's going to happen.
Fairly easy to create a channel, and is it costly or free?
The channels are free from YouTube. Does anything cost? It all depends whether you can do it or want to pay somebody to do it. Okay? Once again, it's the kind of thing that says, if you're going to do it in a reasonably professional manner, because you don't want to look like a putz. All right, so where do you use your YouTube content? Okay, I think you can use it everywhere. You saw how we integrated a little piece of video on that website. So what we did is we designed, every page has the capability to, reside 3 little clips and made it real easy to do it. So if you're designing a website, have your person design a website so you can put a video on every page. I do workshops on designing websites, and that's a whole nother one. But essentially what we like to say is every page should tell a story. Because this is interesting, on information sites, only 25 to a third of the people actually start on your homepage. And the average viewer looks at about 3 pages per sitting. So, you have to design your website in a way that if I come to that page directly, I'm going to get what I want and it's going to tell a story. And that's a whole nother workshop. This is an example of a couple of interesting things going on. This is one I did for a moving company. First, as far as third-party content, you've gone to websites and seen the little Better Business Bureau certificate. Okay, what we did is we actually have a video from Steve Burness, who's president of the Better Business Bureau, Chicago, explaining the value of the Better Business Bureau. Certainly much more powerful than just saying, go to this link. And this is another one of these things where, when you talk about a page, making sure on every page there's a suggestion, do you want to quote? This is this idea, remember we talked about the viewer telling the story, watching one video and then going to other videos. So you can see this is off of the Score Chicago page. We did this interview with Joel Goldberg of Oracle. Here he's talking here, and then you have a choice on the right-hand side to decide what's the next thing you want to know. So fundamentally what's happened here is that the whole model of storytelling has changed. In the olden days, if you think about like the 60 Minutes Morally Safer story, he would do a 10-minute story and beginning to the end. Now, if I sent you a link to a 10-minute video, what's the odds of you not? Okay, so what we do and how the storytelling has changed is if I can get you to this one piece, okay, then you, as the viewer, you create your story. You decide what do you want to know about. So what we want to do is we want to create a channel that gives you the choices so you can essentially build the story you want to hear. So this is the idea of why you want to label it, why you collect them, why you want to build a channel, because then it gives me, the viewer, the ability to tell the story or to create the story that I want to hear. So in this world, if I want to learn more about Score, I can learn more about Score. If I want to learn a little bit more about Joel's business, then I can learn a little bit more about Joel's business. It all depends, what do I want to choose? Hey, email marketing. How many of you use Constant Contact or MailChimp or one of those tools? Any of you guys use that? Okay, it's real easy to embed video. In Constant Contact, one of the things I like to do too is, Constant Contact charges you extra if you have more than 5 pictures. So if you want to have more than 5 pictures in your library, Constant Contact will charge you more. Okay, but what you can do is if you pull a video, it's a free picture. So any of these email tools make it real easy for you to embed video. So what you may want to do is think about, if I'm doing a newsletter, telling people a little bit and then giving them the ability through going to your channel to learn more. So every time you do a newsletter, think about how you're going to embed video in it. Twitter. And Twitter is getting better at it if you put in a video link. When I pulled this slide here, the video showed up on the side. I think they've updated Twitter now so that the video actually shows in the bottom in the tweet. So go ahead, and if you tweeted something, and so if you had a customer testimonial, and you said, check out what Bob Smith had to say about what I did here, put in that link. That link will actually show up in Twitter as a clickable link. A lot of people read Twitter or Facebook on their smartphones or on their tablets, so it's a natural way to bring people down the selling process. So when we talked about where is this content fitting in my selling process, say, I'm going to tweet for awareness, I'm going to use this video to help educate people. LinkedIn is another great tool for using video. Once again, if you put a video link, it'll show up and play really easy. How many of you had LinkedIn profiles? Okay, so if you have a LinkedIn profile, one of the best things to do is to take a little video and put it in your profile. So if I have a video in my LinkedIn profile and I'm meeting that person for coffee and I've never met them before, I can say, check out my LinkedIn profile, and by the way, look at the video that's in my LinkedIn profile. So first, it gives me a picture, I know who you are. Secondly, it tells me a little bit more about you, because you would love to have that coffee shop visit not be the getting to know you visit, but the close the sale visit. So we talk about how do we save money using the internet? How do we save money using YouTube? Okay, if that first sales call can be a close the sale call as opposed to a getting to know you call, that could save you $100. So go to your LinkedIn profile, go down to the bottom. There's really a thing that says, load a video. If you're repping a product, you could put in, and here's a product that I write, and use third-party content if you don't have anything on your own. But if you do want to do a very simple one and say, here's my 25 or 40-minute elevator pitch, you can do it. Or if you just want to give them 10 seconds and say, I'm Bob Smith. Nice to know you. Looking forward to seeing you. Like whatever. Because remember, two things. One, do you have the expertise to solve my problem? And two, do I like you? Facebook is another great place for video. So, if you're going to program Facebook regularly, put in your videos, put in other people's videos. I use a lot of third-party content in, when I program Facebook for people, because I think Facebook is one of these venues that wants you out there all the time. I mean, you just have to judge that. The other interesting thing, just a digression on social media, is, as I've been using Facebook and YouTube, there's a real randomness. I mean, you put up a video, you put up something, sometimes it'll get 500, sometimes it'll get 5. On the Score Chicago channel, I have videos that have had thousands of views. I have one video that has had 14,000 views. And I have videos that have had 14 views. Now, I kind of know why, I kind of don't know why, but there really is a certain randomness to it. So one of the reasons for creating content, the more content you create, the better your odds are to get in the game. Okay. A few final things as we're working, then we'll open it up to some questions. Think about, in that follow-up email, putting in a video. Remember, you want to educate people here. So here's a note that I wrote to Eric. And I said, I thought you might be interested in a couple of items. The challenge of many small businesses is getting noticed when prospects and customers are looking at a major supplier. Check out the way we handled this video, and I actually sent them an example of the one we did with Mark around multi-stack, because I think it's a great example of positioning yourself as a small person among the big boys, okay? And then I have a little video I did about how do we measure the success. And said, if you want to know about measuring success, check out, this video. So after talking to him on the phone, instead of doing that second meeting in person, what I said is here's my references online. So I really don't have to meet with him again. I can just call him up. Or what I'll sometimes do is I'll call people up on the phone and I'll say, did you get my email? They'll say, yeah. I said, did you watch the video? They'll say, no. I'll say, well, go watch the video while I'm on the phone. So they're watching the video on the phone. I know what they're watching. I can hear it. And after they watch the video, I say, well, what'd you think? So I've brought them down in the selling process. You have a question?
Oh, no, I was just saying, disagreeing with you.
Oh, okay. Well, I like it when people agree with me. Although I have had people say, no, I don't agree with you, but. Okay, once again, think about using your email signature. Visit Facebook, check out our portfolio, go to my channel. If you have a real topical situation, change your email signature and say, learn about this new offering. If you have a new offering, put it in your email signature. People's email signatures are typically the least utilized marketing tool that they have, because all of us are sending emails, okay? Few of us are really using the signature effectively. So think about, in awareness, okay, if you're sending somebody an email, they know who you are, right? Okay? So this is the first step of education. Give them a shot. You might even reference in your email, and you can check this out in my email signature. Just a little commercial on does YouTube work, and this is the Obama versus Romney. So as far as subscribers, Obama had 257,000 subscribers, and Romney had 28,000 as far as views. So they did find a way to use it effectively. A couple of follow-up slides here. So think about how is your content targeted to your selling process? How can you use these answer segments to lower your cost or extend your reach? I mean, this is the number one issue people say is, what's the ROI? How can I justify spending money on this? So you have to think about, am I replacing a sales call? Am I reaching people who I wouldn't reach? And I would suggest to you in many ways, the ROI is greater on if you can replace a sales call. But the only way it's going to replace a sales call is if you've thought about it and how you're going to use it. And what can you discover from the conversations online to help you develop plans and overcome buying objections. And YouTube has all kinds of tools as far as metrics. What did people watch before? What did people watch after? What were the key words that people found and they were using? They're on suggested videos. They'll say to you, well, people watched this video before they came to you. Well, people watch this video, even if it was a competitor's or another person's video, maybe that's content you want to create. So, you should look at the numbers. Once again, if you're working with a professional will sit down and do the numbers with you. So, this is one of the differentiators I have in my business is not only do I do the videos, but I build the channels, and I work with people as far as understanding the numbers, which are things that your traditional videographer won't do. And, if you're doing it yourself, it's unlikely either. Because, understanding the numbers is a little bit of getting in there and really understanding how the numbers are created. So look at video as part of your total marketing plan. Today, you don't need to set up a channel. You don't need to start shooting any videos. But what I'd suggest you do today is follow people on Twitter, go into YouTube and subscribe to people. You know, go in and subscribe to people. The first question on creating content is, how should I create content? What should I create? So the first thing you should do is look at, what do you like? So go into YouTube, put in some search words around your business, and see what you like. Because your customers and your prospects will like what you like. So you don't have to go out and spend money. You don't need to start creating videos. Right now, go into YouTube, subscribe to things, see what you like. It'll start giving you a baseline as to, what do you like? What do you produce? What are the expectations within your industry? If your industry is producing more sophisticated videos, maybe you need to do that. If people are just doing man-on-the-street programs, I guess that's probably okay. So make some notes on what works for you. Same thing with Twitter or Facebook or any of these other tools, Instagram, etc. Make some notes on what works for you. Make a list of the questions your prospects and customers are asking and create content that offers value. Okay. Go ahead, Penny.
Great presentation. I really love this. But second of all, I have a question. I don't know if you can answer this. When you have a client that you know, you're pretty certain they're happy with your services, they've tipped you very well, and they walk out the door very happy, when you ask them to provide a testimonial, what is the best thing to ask them to use for the testimonial? Yelp, Google reviews? What's the very best? Well, you know, so the question is, if you're asking for a client, somebody who's well satisfied for a review, what should I use? Yelp, or, you know, if you're a restaurant, Open Table or whatever. Once again, which ones do you use? Okay, because you're living in your community, and your clients are going to use the ones you use. Okay, but on the other hand, the first thing I would do is to just say, you know, drop me an email. Okay, it's sometimes hard to put somebody on the spot and say, would you record this? But something I have done is I've had a customer appreciation day, and I've said, in my customer appreciation day, I'm going to bring people in, you know, and I want you to come, and when you come in on my customer appreciation day, maybe I'll serve coffee or whatever healthy things you do in your world, and we're going to record testimonials. And before you come, think about your testimonial and write it down. Because if you think about your testimonial and write it down, it's going to come a lot better. When I do my interviews, I send somebody a list of questions ahead of time, and I ask them to write down the answers. I don't ask them to write down the answers because I want them to read it. But what I found, if people write down the answers, when you ask them the question, they come across very coherently. When you just Shanghai somebody, wow, you know, or if they know you're going to do it and they do the testimonial once, and what's your name? The videographer.
Gerard.
Doug? Gerard. Okay, and you had Gerard in doing your videos for you, okay? Then if you ask me to do a testimony, you don't like it the way I do the first time, say, well, why don't we do that one more time? Okay, so if you really want to organize video testimonials, create a customer appreciation day, let them know in advance, plan it, rehearse it, repeat it. In the end, your goal is authentic perfection, but you know, however you get there is however you get there. How many of you guys have watched a video, like an internet video, and suppose the guy was selling computer services, and the first part of the video starts and says, wow, it's cold this morning. Can't believe it's this cold in September. It's never been this cold in September before. You know, I had to go and get my my golf sweater out of my golf bag and put it on so I could go do this presentation. How many of you have like seen like professional videos starting out that way? I mean, you're sitting there, a viewer, saying, God, what a yutz. Okay? So that's my point, is that while this guy thinks he's being authentic, rehearse it, plan it, rehearse it, repeat it, authentic perfection. Other questions?
I just wanted to add, I have received many job, offers, opportunities, and I had asked the caller what's the access, and usually it's social media and also my website.
Right, so people find out about those things. All right, so for you guys who are leaving, a couple of quick things. If you didn't get a copy of the presentation, they're up there. If you want one of my cards are up there. I'll stick around and answer questions for as long as you want to go. Go ahead.
I noticed that with the social media that you were talking about, you've not mentioned Google Plus. What's your opinion of that?
I think that if you have a community, the question is, what about Google Plus? If you have a community that is using Google Plus, you should be there. There's a theory that Google Plus will help your search rankings. Maybe yes, maybe no. But if you have a community that's using Google Plus, you should be there. I wouldn't particularly go there if you're not in the other ones to begin with. I mean, I did some work with Google for a while, and what Google was trying to do was to create Google Plus as a community of experts. They kind of did it, they kind of didn't. But once again, if you're there and your world is there, then you should be there. Okay, other questions? Go ahead.
3 questions, please.
3 questions,
Yes.
okay.
What does ROI mean?
Okay, what is a return on investment?
Okay, return.
Okay, so very quickly is, if I do this, how is it going to either save me money or get me more sales?
Okay, very good.
Okay, question 2.
Good question, yes, thank you. That is, when we were bringing up the YouTube and it was somewhat delayed, we had to be patient. What does the potential client do or feel about waiting? Do I wait if my attention span is only 6 seconds, or how do you address that?
I think I would ask you guys, the question here is, if I have to wait for the video to load, am I going to stick around or not?
That's why I talked about the auto negotiation earlier.
Right, so you can set up your resolution.
It's going to load as quickly as you want it to based on the bandwidth of the particular stream.
Right, so you need to set, so what he's saying is you can set up your computer to say that based upon your connection, how quickly is it going to load? I mean, my comment is, if it's something I really want to watch, I'll wait. If it's something that is tangential, then I won't wait. You know, so it's one of the things you really need to think about today, because there's such a wide variety and of connectivity these days. Third question.
Thank you. And that is, when you came here to make your presentation today, what all did you bring with you?
Okay, the question is, when I came to do the presentation, what did I bring? I mean, I have my computer, I have my speakers.
Okay.
The city provides the projector.
Okay.
Okay, now I do 20 or 30 presentations a year, so I've learned not to count on somebody else having speakers.
Okay.
And if you're going to do a program on YouTube, you ought to show a couple of videos.
This is the first workshop, actually, that we could hear. I've been to a lot of workshops, and I have never been able to hear it because they don't bring any speakers.
Right.
So it was cool.
Okay.
3A.
3A, okay.
Let's see, 3A, it got away, because it's sort of...
All right, well, if it comes back, you can let us know. Go ahead.
Yes, I'm in a dance studio business.
Okay.
And my videos should be about the music, the songs that we are dancing to.
Okay.
I'm very concerned, how can I post it, because I do not have copyright.
Okay, so the question here is, she's in a dance studio, okay, and she's listening to music. She doesn't have copyright relative to...
License to play the music in the studio, but not the YouTube one.
Right. So she doesn't have license to use the music. I mean, the first thing is, if you're doing a video, part of the question, people want to see, what does your studio look like? Are there people like me in your dance studio? The number one question people have when they're buying from you is, are there people like me buying from you? Okay? So maybe you want to keep it short, 10, 15 seconds, show motion, show people, and not even show any music if you have that concern. Okay? The other thing you can do is there is music that's in the general domain, and decide, hey, you're going to choreograph a couple pieces relative to the general domain. As I said, there's no sin in creating content specifically for the internet because people do it. On the other hand, authentic. I don't want you to look like, you're people from Dancing from the Stars. Okay, on the other hand, whatever works. And, if you want to say, because you're thinking about the question you're trying to answer. And if the question you're trying to answer, are there people like me? Suppose you want to feature a senior citizen dance thing. Okay, so take 15 seconds of some old people and I say, okay, hey, she knows how to deal with old people. It's all relative these days. Do we have 3A?
Please, can I do it now?
Sure.
Okay. On your taskbar, when you were giving your presentation, it seems to me you had your PowerPoint, and then you got grids on it where you could press something and go to the video, which looked like a PowerPoint something, and then a Google Chrome. When you're doing that, you're embedding. What are you doing?
Well, there's all kinds of tricks within using PowerPoint. There's tricks within using Windows. My suggestion to you is if you're going to use any of these tools, even if you're going to use video, is go do a workshop to specifically. So if you did a PowerPoint workshop
for this and designing the website, do you have one on your calendar?
Am I doing designing a website? I don't know. Let me look at my schedule. Okay. Go ahead.
Any suggestions on how to get the community inspired by something that is your service or your creation?
So the question is, how do I get the community inspired? I think that on one level, create content and reach out to people. People talk about I'll create a video and it'll go viral. The odds of your video going viral is like winning the lottery. Okay. So, get people to use it. If people are referring your business, ask them, hey, when you refer my business, would you include this link? A link to a video. Okay? Maybe the question they have relative to your operation is, is it clean and is it... Because, massage studios can have je ne sais quoi that I don't want to talk about. Okay, so maybe you just want to do here's a 15-second, tour of my studio and say to have people, include this link, or, once I go to that one, then have some other ones in your channel that might showcase a little bit more expertise.
And tell them to hit the like button.
Go ahead.
Hit the like button. Tell them to hit the like button.
Like, always to hit the like button.
Oh yeah, the like button, and try to get people to do that. But it's the world's going to evolve how it wants to evolve. People aren't going to like you unless they want to like you. Okay, and don't believe anybody who says, pay me a bunch of money and I'll get you 1,000 likes or I'll get you 1,000 followers, because those really aren't worth anything. Okay, do we have 4 or 3B?
4.
Okay.
Speaking of money, which you just addressed, and the the entrepreneurial aspect, when we're doing this, can we close with our presentation and say, well, we have PayPal or some kind of connection where you can buy it or use your card? Do you understand?
Yeah, you say what you want to say. The question is your piece of content directed so that once I watch it, I'm ready to buy? Okay? If it's just a little bit of educational content, maybe I'm not quite ready to buy. On the other hand, you should always give an opportunity to contact. Here's my contact information. You always want to give people the opportunity to go to the next step. All right, one more question.
Well, it's not a question, it's just to let everyone know. A friend of mine that's a massage therapist is actually on the first page of Yelp. He's right up there, the first 5. And I asked him specifically, how'd you get there? And do you really receive clients from that? And he said, Penny, believe it or not, I don't know how I got there. I didn't do nothing to get there. And he said, and no, I've never received one call from Yelp, even though he's in the top 5 of the
Okay,
first.
so one of the issues around all this internet stuff, just because he's on the top 5 for you, doesn't mean he's on the top 5 for you or the top 5 for you or whatever. So there's a whole randomness, because remember, one, I, as the internet, want to give something just for you, and two, if you keep searching for yourself, then you're going to raise yourself higher, because Google says you're really interested in yourself. All right, I want to thank you guys for coming. I'm going to go turn off Gerard. If you guys have any other questions, I'll be around.